It is Friday, December 14th. We're closing in to the last couple weeks of the year, heading into the holiday season. Not really a holiday tune, but I figured last week I think I ended with this. Beautiful tune by Francisco Tárrega. And figured this week open up with the piece that's kind of considered its companion piece, Lágrima. Now I believe this one, I think we have a lesson on this. I can't see my computer right now. But I believe a while ago we had Hector Garcia do this. I wish we could get Hector back to do more of this, which is why I'm kind of leaning towards heading into the classical world again someday. But anyhow, check that one out. If not, if we don't have it, I will get to it soon, I promise. Sometime in January. January, February is going to be the classical period around here. So, quick rundown of what we put out this week, and then answering a couple questions, some things that showed up on the forum. We'll talk about a little muting technique, talk about rhythm a little bit in general, counting. Why is it important? I hope to get to all that. There's actually a lot of stuff I want to get to, including this. I don't think this is going to happen, but let me show you this book, 1610, written by Robert Dowland. Music that looks like this. Anyway. This might get put off till next week, but it's sort of what else is on my agenda. We'll see. Where was I? This was Fly on the Wall week. 3 Fly on the Wall lessons, and I hope you guys get a chance to really enjoy the lessons I put up with Ed, because these ones go just in all kinds of weird directions. So when one is billed as like the Moloka'i Waltz, there's just way more information in there than we're not really working on that song. We get into all kinds of other things, and the same thing with his our little foray into a Bob Dylan tune called "Song for Woody." So hope you enjoy those, because again, a lot of little tidbits of insight always come out of those. Ed is just fun to be with, and always comes up with great questions, comments, and even knowledge from his side. So that's. Really enjoy hanging out with Ed. We also took like Kevin working on Walk on the Wild Side. Figured while we're on the Lou Reed kick, and then we had little Eagles. There's really just a little bluegrassy tune. So the challenge in Seven Bridges Road, if you don't have like 5 people that can sing this with you, is to really just work on quick bluegrass picking. And we might get into a little bit more of that. Sure why that happened, but sometimes I think about bluegrass tunes and it brings up Tubular Bells. Who knows why? Big connection there. Okay, ramble. Wait, there was something else. Oh, we had a little review of Dean, I believe, playing Paint It Black. So more student reviews, more Fly on the Wall, and some pretty cool lessons coming up next week. I haven't decided which order they're gonna. Anyway, let's save next week for next week. And what, this something really interesting happened this week that was fun for me, and that was on Monday. It's always a treat when members of our community are making trips here to Northern California, and Monday I had a chance to meet 2 traveling TGers. Bart, family man, was coming through this area on business from Phoenix. And we got to sit down and chat a little bit, have some coffee. Didn't really get a chance to work on anything specifically, so we got no video from that one. But and then somebody who recently just introduced herself on the forum, Lynn from Virginia, came by, and we worked a little bit on. And what else? Actually, we started working on this and realized there was a more fundamental thing that needed to be done before we worked on specifics in the song. So I'm hoping to get to those, but it was a treat to meet Lynn and Bart. And if again, anybody that's traveling through Northern California, if you'd like to come in and say hello, get a hold of me. Sometimes it can be arranged. Most of the times it can be arranged. So let's see, what else was, I guess I'm ready to talk about stuff that was happening on the forum. Let's see, let's take an easy one first. Somebody was asking about muting in Horse with No Name, and that is a tune saying that I've seen some people mute stuff with the right hand. I'm just going to go kind of generally into muting techniques and the differences between them. But the biggest one to learn is muting with your left hand. Whatever chord you're playing, if your fourth finger is free, you just relax your whole hand and let your fourth finger lay across the strings. But the important thing, another important part about that is that the fingers that are on the chord have to release as well, have to relax. So the whole thing is a very loose feel. It's not grabbing the neck, otherwise you hear that. So it's just got to be very, very light touch so that you get complete dead, not this. That's not dead, and that's too heavy. If it's a chord like G, that your fourth finger is involved in, or C, even for C, I would usually not use my fourth finger to mute a C chord. I would roll the whole chord. I can't remember which lessons talk about this, but I'm sure people out there can steer us in the right direction. But G and C chords are one that you relax your whole hand and lay your third finger down across the strings at the angle that it's coming in at. So on your C chord, you just kind of roll it down and let your third finger kill everything. On a D chord, fourth finger. A chord, fourth finger. B7, roll the whole thing. E, or E minor, fourth finger. Muting with the right hand is effective more for the cowgirl in the sand. For the really percussive effect. It's not as useful for playing a chord and trying to muffle it, because it destroys the rhythm generally. Because your hand has to stop in order to do that. So, okay, I think that's it for the muting thing. Now I want to talk about rhythm and counting. Why is it important? And actually, how does it work? So I'm going to try to, in 2 minutes, I hope I can do this in 2 minutes, just a little rundown of how I explain time signatures, or how I think of them maybe. And that is, you just have to have a couple things in mind. We have different note values. We've got ranging from a whole note and then all kinds of divisions, usually divided into either 2 parts or 3 parts. I'm going to stay away from the 3-part divisions probably for today. But so our whole note is split into 2 half notes, which are then split into quarter notes, 4 quarter notes, or 8 eighth notes, or 16 16th notes, or 32 32nd notes, or any combination of the above that fills in a certain number of beats in a measure. So one of those notes has to be assigned the value of a beat. Beats are just a constant pulse. It's what a metronome does for you, is it shows you beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then one of the note values has to be assigned to be equal to one of these. Typically, it's quarter notes, eighth notes, or half notes. One of those 3 accounts for 98% of the key signatures that you're going to see, and that's the number that's in the bottom of the key signature. Time signature. Key signature is different, not on today's agenda. So the bottom number of the time signature is just telling you what kind of note you're counting. If there's a 4 down there, it means we're counting quarter notes, and every one of these is worth a quarter note. If there's a 2 down there, it means every one of these is a half note. It might be going a little slower. If there's a 8 down there, it means every one of these is an eighth note, and they might be going a little faster, but that's not necessary. So then the top number is just telling you how many of those make up a measure, a block that is repeated throughout a song. Every measure has the same number of beats in it. He says that's a total lie, but it's at least in most songs. You'll stay consistent with time signatures, but there are all kinds of songs that change times in the middle and all kinds of other things. This is a song that is in 3/4 and 6/8, and it flips back and forth. It's a little more advanced than I want to talk about, at least in today's, to throw out on the news. I think that's enough info, but that's an example of a waltz that is sometimes in 3/4, has measures that are 3/4, and sometimes measures that are 6/8. Let me try it again. Pick out the 3/4s and the 6/8s. Don't worry about it. We'll save that again for when I get to a lesson on that piece. Venezuelan Waltz, number 2, Antonio Loro, if you'd like to check it out. check out good recordings of it. I still got to brush up on those. They're not too crisp yet. Okay, back to time signatures. I'm over my 2-minute limit, I'm sure. But the time signature then is these two numbers where the bottom number is just telling you what kind of note you're counting, and then the top number is telling you how many of them are in a measure or how they're grouped. 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 7/4. We have songs in all those time signatures at the site. I'm sure everybody can identify many of them. Now, then the notes are divided. Whatever the beat is, when you count those. Let's say we're in 3/4 time. When you count those, you're going to count the beats as the numbers 1, 2, 3. If you split those beats into halves, into eighth notes, cutting each beat in half, playing 2 notes per beat, we identify that spot in between the beats with the word and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. If we split it further into halves again, which will create 16th notes, we now mark those points with an E and an or an A. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. If we're in 4, if we're in 5, we'd have 5 E and a. And that's marking a steady flow of 16th notes, with these being quarter notes. Okay, I'm not going to talk about triplets right now, but a good way to count triplets, oh yes I am. God, stop me! Okay, back to earth. What was I talking about? If you split something into thirds, we frequently call it triplets, and a great way to count those is 1 triplet, 2 triplet. I think somebody pointed this out on the site. That's exactly what I would do, because the other syllables we use, the other identifying terms, E and mark quarter point divisions, 25%, 50%, 70%, 75% of the beat. When you split something into triplets, you're going a third of the way. Now, thirds and fourths don't match up when they're back when they break up the same block. So we don't want to use the or the E or the and for any of those. We want to use different syllables. So it's perfectly a great idea to go 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Let me try that again. Brush up on that. I'll keep meaning to do a lesson on that. But that's a song that could be considered to be triplets. Generally it's not written that way, but each of these beats would be very slow. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3. Now that could also be written in 9/8 time, where we're counting 9/8 notes per beat. Okay, enough. That's your bonus coverage for today. Okay, have gone on too long. I will have to save the talk about John Dowland and Elizabethan music for next week, I hope. Although I might have all kinds of other things to get to next week. Okay, back to the drawing board. I will see you next week. That may be our last news wrap-up of the year. I'm not really quite sure where we're going the week of Christmas, but it'll be a surprise, one way or another. So keep those cards and letters coming and the questions, and hope everybody has a good weekend. I will see you next week.